Oh, finally. Oh my God. Oh my God. We figured it out. I think I figured it out. I just had to do things with encoders, with downloading things, putting things in encoders. Oh man. Hopefully everybody's here right now. What are we doing? I don't even know what's going on with this, how I even got live, but I'm live right now. Um, Let me see if anybody's joining us. I don't know how I got live right now, but I'm live. We got one person here. I don't know. Let me know in the chat if people are around, but let me see what's going on here. Cause I don't know how I have 7 likes and nobody in there. I would like to see if anybody could see me and hear me in chat. Well, I think I finally got live. It's not the right name I wanted. I was trying to title this Torus technology. But what's up, buddy? I just had to download like encoders, OBS Studio. Something was going on with it. It wouldn't let me go live. I hate computers, but we're here now. That's what's great. Hopefully, I could show you guys. I don't know how to do screen share with pictures for this. I will try to get better at this. It's I don't like computers that much, but I am trying to get better at them. Um, Let me see what's going on with the chat room. I don't see anybody talking in the chat room. I don't know if anybody can hear me or what's up, but nobody's up in the chat room. So I'm not sure if it's coming in clear or not. Let me check. Maybe I could check it on here. We'll wait for some people to join anyway. I don't know if anybody can hear me in the chat room, but we'll see. Let me see if my yeah, I don't even know if I'm live right now. Am I live right now? I think so, but I can't find it. Let me see. People, I don't even know if people can get to me right now. Let me see. Oh, I am live. Okay, cool. So if people want to join me in the chat room, that's cool. I don't. It's just that the mic and everything. I don't know. Nobody's typing in the chat room. Maybe that's the thing. But yeah, so I had a real issue with. Thank you, Jessica, by messaging me on Facebook just now. Thank you. I had a real problem getting on YouTube just now, but we're gonna be talking about some interesting things. And the thing is, I wanted some people in the chat room talking too, in case we could do live readings on people right now. So especially if they're patrons or if they're donating. So if you guys want to interact with me on the live chat, I have that right in front of me here. So we could do a live stream that way. I'm not doing no drive time shaman today right here. So um, there's some interesting pictures that I want you guys to check out as well. What we're going to be talking about today. And if you guys are familiar with the Torus, let me see. Let me if I could get the picture better. I don't know if I could do a screen share here, but those are the Torus, right? That is the 3 kinds of Torus right there, right? So everybody has seen these holes, these round circles before, what they might mean. I don't know if how familiar people are with this sort of structure, but it looks like a donut, right? And there's specifically 3 kinds of tori or torus. Now, what's interesting is that we have this in our bodies as well. We have this in our on our planet as well. This is the way we communicate through different realms. This is how information comes and goes, and this is how the universe works in circles and in cycles, in a circuit, in a system, ever flowing system. So this donut is spinning always, right? It's a toroidal space that's in the middle. So we're going to be talking about this and how this relates to our own bodies and to the cycle of time and to our system that we're living in. For something to be what they call even what the term cybernetics, right? Now, for something to be cybernetics, it has to be a system, right? A living system of both machine and person, right? And how they're interacting with each other. And so this is very interesting when we start to get into this. There's um, a physicist that was called, his name was Heinz von Forster. And this guy is a very interesting physicist that from Germany, of course. And I've read some of his work, and he's one of the fathers of cybernetics and cybernetics thinking and how that works. And this is all related to the system we're living in and what's taking place in this living, breathing system that we have going on, and for life to form, something has to be communicating with each other to bring a continuous of life, to be able to sustain life in the right way, for something to form from the slime of the goo of the if you want to say like the primordial goo, for that slime to create from nothing to something. Something has to take place. Something had to have made a decision. Something thought, some kind of thought or system brought that together. That doesn't just happen randomly. So for us to have the system that we're living in now, there had to have been some sort of observation, some thought of creation. It doesn't just happen for a random occurrence. So we are living in a living, breathing technology, a living, breathing system. And now the thing is that everything has been moving and accelerating and circulating at a crazy pace. So now it's not about how it was created. And there's all these theories. They have all these different theories of how this all was created, or right, how life was created. You have Big Bang theories. You have the Bible with the 7 days of creation. God, he rested. He had 6 days, and then he was weary, right? And then on the seventh day he rested. All of these interesting theories. So in reality, it's who has the best explanation and who has the most believable explanation that becomes what reality is. Reality is through the person that's seeing it, through the eye of the beholder, right? So when you read a book, does it mean what the author intended it to mean, or does the book mean what you're reading it as? So there's a big difference here. I could sit down and write something and I know what I meant it to be. Now, when you read it, it could mean something completely different. So who says what's really what it's all about, what reality is? And that's what our world has become, a never-ending cycle of different stories and different realities and different versions and different intentions and different thoughts that everybody's had. And it's a never-ending cycle that is going to eventually come to a singularity or to a higher dimensional plane, right? You're either going to balance your duality and move to a higher existence where there is no need for death and time, because you'll be in a higher existence, or you'll reach a singularity of a machine-like soulless infinity. Now, how is this possible? Now, if you look at things from the biblical perspective, basically, at the end of everything, right? When the resurrection comes at the end times, and everybody is resurrected from the dead, they believe that they will be saved and bring to a higher state of eternity, right? Now, when you die, right? When we die, we're gone, right? Time stops. Now, it doesn't matter how long it takes for this world to get to that infinity. What are they talking about in the Bible? What are we talking about here when souls will reach immortality? Now, I believe that this is the singularity they're talking about. It's the machine singularity, and that people have been deceived. It's not God they're interfacing with. It's a replication of this. Now, we have all different religions and dogmas, right? We have all different belief systems, but they all pretty much, at the end, believe that there's going to be some sort of savior, right? Some sort of resurrection, even. Now, the only way we can live in infinity right now, the way we live, right? The way of this life we're living. How would that happen? Now, is it possible for us to upload who we are into a machine and then infinitely live that way? Now, this is what some physicists believe, that the only way for us to reach that infinity and immortality is for us to almost upload ourselves into a machine. And then you would be living infinitely in that machine. Now, this is very interesting that some people believe this, and I do feel this is what we've been explaining. This is what we've been seeing. This is what's been coming over us. This singularity is a replication of what we're supposed to be interfacing with. It's doom for our spirit and for our ancestral memory and for who we are. Now, we are filled with so much emotion, so much intensity. Where is this coming from? Because it's a complete opposite of a robot, right? So why would we want to merge with a technology that doesn't make us feel those emotions anymore? Now, if you're uploading yourself into a machine, into a computer, you're not uploading your divine spark. You're not uploading your soul. You're uploading a photocopy of your soul, a photocopy of who you are. Now, this will be emotionless. I do not feel this is the way, this is the future of mankind, or what it should be. I do feel that's the route most are going, and that's the route we are headed in, and that we have a big problem in front of us, a big problem. Now, I don't know who has a Bible handy or anything like that, but if you go into the 47th chapter of Ezekiel, they talk about an unusual liquid, an unusual sort of river that's flowing, a life-giving liquid of fluid, and it's sort of like they believe too in ancient Hebrew that they will have a future third temple, right? Like where Solomon's temple is, and this will be where this living liquid, this living river flows up from, right? At this global DMT in a way that they describe. And this is all related to what's taking place within our energy grid, within our tori and our ley lines. and what's coming in and coming out of our toroidal space, if you want to say. Now, I don't know how to share um, pictures on here so you guys can see the pictures, and it's pretty ghetto to show you on my phone, but um, we have different torus, right? Now, the space in the middle of the donut of a torus, right? That is the toroidal space. This is the area and the volume of the donut-like shape of a torus. Now, a big part of geometry that involves with talking about toroidal space is the study of certain structures, geometrical structures that get superimposed upon a place that's curved, a curved space, and this is known as a manifold, right? So this special sort of structure that we're doing here is described and seen in a lot of different ways, and it's sort of like I mean it's different than it's sort of like an entirety of space and time, right? And there's typically three spots of three tori. You have like the spindle, the horn, the donut. Now it's very complicated and very interesting when you start to think about all of this, and when you start to it's hard to describe it without a diagram in front of you. But all throughout time, all sorts of psychics and seers and mystics have talked about this, and how basically the human aura, our human aura, our spirit, our energetic layers, they appear sort of like a series of nests of these spherical toruses or tori, different types of tori formations. They're different. There's nests of them all throughout our aura. This is how things come in and out of our aura and how we interact with this. Now, it's the deepest root of shamanism, is when you are seeing and interacting with your tori within the aura. Now, they're nested throughout all of us. Now, they believe in Kabbalah that not only is there a Jerusalem in the physical reality, but there's the replica of that city within us as well, and all of the energetic spots on our planet. So this donut geometric torus structures that we have, they are spinning, right? They are always moving. It's a vortex of energy, and it's turning inside itself, inside out, like a rotating ring of smoke, or like it turning on itself inside out. And I don't know, I can't see anybody, if anybody's talking in the chat room. Let me see. It says top chat, nobody. Maybe if I hit live chat. Oh wow, everybody is talking. Wow. Okay, now I'm here, guys. I got the chat room. Thank you. So let me rewind a little bit. All right, I'm reading everybody. Hey, Spartan, and hey, everybody. Brian, Zeralath, Mika, my baby, Jessica Lynn. I hope you're still there. I didn't see you were talking. Comment. Thank you, Cynthia, Jessica, just both Jessicas. All right, so everybody's in there. That people are in there. I didn't see the live chat before. I had it on top chat, so I couldn't see anybody. So I thought I was like pretty much talking to myself, and some people were listening. But so this, I wish I could share some more pictures up here so we could show it. All Tori, right? All of this Taurus, all Tori, uh, they create energy vortexes of energy, and energy can funnel up or down through this rotating torus, right? This generates a flow of energy, and throughout the whole sort of torus, and throughout the nest of structures, and they, depending on the speed of the rotation, depends on what kind of torus it is, and what kind of information it will receive, and what kind of energy it has, and all of this. So there's two vortexes of of polarity, of course. Like, we have the positive and negative polarity. So depending on how it's spinning, depending on what shape it is, and depending on how fast it is, and depending on what size it depends on what shape it'll become, also depends on the positive and negative attraction that's in it as well. Now, this is the same thing that's happening on our Earth, is that we are a spinning torus, right? A spinning vortex of energy. And I've been talking about how ley lines, there's black and, if you want to say female, male, light, dark, positive, negative, there's different streams of energy within our planet, right? Well, there's been dowsers that have been following these black streams of energy, um, uh, all throughout our planet, mostly through England. It was documented a lot in England. Dowsers in England, in the British area, they have been knowing that there are black streams of energy that are flowing, and they were attributing this to digging, mining, uh, people disturbing the infrastructure of the soil. Anytime you disturb the soil, it changes flows of energy. You can change, just like you can change water flow, you can change the energy flow on our planet as well. And I've shown this, and I can't pull up the picture now. Let me see if I could show up. Let me see. Yeah, I could find it here for you. So you could see here clearly. This is a picture of an ancient Egyptian depiction of Set repelling Apophis, or Apep. Right now, this is basically, they show him riding on. They call this a solar barge, but this is him diving between dimensions, between the physical and the spiritual layers of the planet. And he's actually putting a physical copper, probably a copper rod, right through the ground, uh, showing that it's a changing the dragon energy, right? Changing that stream of energy. So you can change, just like when you put copper in the ground. This is a depiction of this. This is an ancient depiction of Apep, or Apophis, being repelled. The dragon energy, the black lines of energy, literally coming out, and being tapped into, and changing that force, changing that energy, changing the dragon's breath, or the dragon's line. And this is the same thing we're talking about when we're talking about diverting the stream of energy, being able to divert it or change. Now, that's the most simple of putting the copper rod or some sort of rod in the ground to change the energy, right? Now, this can be happening on a more complicated level with our Earth, right? They could be diverting certain black energy lines, sort of like directing them to certain things, to certain monuments, to certain energy spots, and amplifying that and magnifying that and injecting things into it. And I think that is what is taking over our planet, is another layer of spiritual energy, a replicator layer that I've been talking about. And it's actually flowing within the black streams. It's flowing within the different streams of energy in our planet, like veins coming out to the energy spots. And it's taking over who we are. It's changing the personality of the Earth and changing the personality of the human. We are moving along. We are sort of like evolving with the planet. So this is what's involved with us as well. We are the energy vortex is spinning within our auras and spinning within the earth. The energetic bodies of the earth is being infiltrated with another layer of spiritual skin, information that is tainted with a replicator energy, a replicator skin that's coming over us. And I've talked about in my Patreon. If you go on my Patreon, and anybody who wants to donate or patrons in the chat room, they have my patrons. They can ask questions or get readings if they want a live quick reading. But if people want to donate in the chat, then I'll do live readings too as well while we're here. Now, let me read. Copper pans. Yeah, people are getting more evil. I mean, it's because we're losing our emotions, are being tampered with. Our genetic memory is being tampered with. Our DNA is changing. We are changing. We're becoming less patient, right? We need everything at the click of a button. We can't wait for anything anymore. This is what's taking place, is that instead of using your true abilities, you're using a replicator version of technology. This is what we're using right now, right here. So there's a very interesting thing that we could go into with the toroidal movement, and the way it's taking place on our planet, and what's taking place, and entering in to what I call, and other people call, this higher dimensional version, this higher dimensional state, which in Kabbalah some call the city of Lutz. And I've been talking about this. Now, I do feel that in Israel, in Jerusalem, and I know I can't talk too much on Facebook about all of this, but where this foundation stone is, where the dome of the rock is, the dome of the rock is on top of this, right? This place will be the center for the rise of this, if you want to say black goo, if you want to say invisible living liquid that rises up out of the ground, that rises up from the foundation. So it will be coming through that toroidal spinning torus of that area, of that foundation stone. There will be a super duper computer. If it's not already established in that area, they will have the network in Israel. It will be centered in that area. And something is coming. A living primordial net, a replicator of a true higher dimensional state. And it's fooled all of us. It's fooled us to merging with this technology. And we've all merged with it in some capacity so far. We've all merged with it. It's happening. So the shootings, and people are talking about the shootings in the chat room. Yeah, I mean, this is part of it. See, you guys don't realize what remote viewing and psychics are used for, and what the military is using for. The military is the one that creates supercomputers. They're the ones that create all this technology and work with it to weaponize it. And remote viewing is still used within the military and with the elites of the world. They're using it to hijack certain people and to send them off as killing machines. I mean, they hijack the weak-minded first. This is what gets taken over first. I mean, it's shown in your movies. It's shown in your they're releasing it in all sorts of media in certain ways. The weak ones will get taken over first. The weak ones are the ones that give in to the negative chatter that we're all downloading from this. We're all downloading a negative chatter, and it's right there in front of you to see. It's happening, and people are being accessed within this network of Tori. These spinning, they're all connected to a network of a super duper quantum intelligence, and it's all being connected to. It's hard to, I don't have all the answers. I don't want to say. I hope though. I'm having people do their own research and their own. That's the best I want. Is don't believe what I'm saying. Don't take it as fact, but take it as I. It's going to get you to look into it yourself and to look into that as well. Because I'm not a physicist. I'm not a math whiz or anything like this, but I've done some research, and from my experiences that I've seen myself, the research that I'm doing is showing me where some of this is going, and if it's our duty to talk about it. It's our duty, and sometimes I talk about some dark things, right? But it's to understand them is the only way to move on from them. And when we were talking about putting the copper spike or some sort of spike in the ground to change the dragon lines, the ley lines, or to change the energy of the place. This is the same thing that was seen in the stories of Saint George and the dragon. They were sacrificing children to the dragon of the swamp, to the energy of the swamp. So what does this mean? Does it literally mean there's like a reptile dragon coming out of the swamp that they're putting a baby into its mouth? I'm not sure about that. I think it more means that there's a dark energy leaking out of the swamp, making people fear the energy, talking to them telepathically in a dark way, making them believe they need to drown the child in the swamp, give the child over to the swamp in order for the swamp to be happy and for them to have a good harvest around the area or whatever. This is what's happening. So Saint George was some sort of man who had more technology, more understanding than the average person of that time. And he came and changed the energy of the swamp by driving the rod into the swamp. So this is what's taking place. This is him changing the dragon line of the swamp. And this is how, after St. George slayed the dragon, they were no longer sacrificing babies to the swamp, right? Supposedly. So that's an example of being able to change the energy of the swamp through divining rods, right? Through some sort of copper rod or something like this. And this is what we're talking about here. You can change energy on the planet. Same thing with spiral patterns of rocks. If you put like a sort of spiral pattern of rock on an energy spot, you can change the energy of the location. You can connect to the elementals again. This is very interesting and very important that people get back to these basics and understand what's taking place on our planet and what's emerging on our planet. And I do feel that the Kabbalah has brought this computer type technology that we have. We've had all sorts of mysticism from all over the world for thousands of years. And it's not until the Kabbalah really came into play that did we have computers and this sort of technology, this sort of mental computing with codes and formulas and gematrias and numerical, values and all of this. This all came into play through the Kabbalah, and this is what is I feel is what has brought this replicator technology into our realm, and it's swallowing our very existence, and it will cause what I was talking about the other day with the Lutz bone. Now this is an almond type bone at the top of your spine that supposedly never deteriorates. It stays in the grave with the body, and it will stay with the body and never deteriorate, sort of like a vapor of your existence stays with it. An imprint, a memory of your existence is imprinted on there. Now I do feel this bone and the information that's stored within it is what's going to be used to upload information into these super duper machines that will make you be able to live infinitely within that system. And so this Lutz bone is very interesting when you think about this, because they, even in the Bible, they had many different cities that were called Lutz, and the access to the Lutz was through the almond tree. This was how you turned the key to go to the city of Lutz, and you accessed it within the hollow of the tree. Within the hollow of the almond tree was the access to a higher dimensional state, the city of Lutz. And this is the same thing in Italy with the walnut tree, and certain hollows of the tree where you can access a higher dimensional realm within the tree. Now, that is not a coincidence, okay? That is just that you have certain key spots on our planet that trees can be used as an access point to a higher dimension, or another layer of our existence, if you want to say. So this is very interesting when we talk about this, because the city of Lutz is supposedly even Lutz was the original place of Bethel, the town of Bethel, which is Bethel is house of God, and this is the place where supposedly originally the city of Lutz was. And there's a diagram that I've put on my Patreon that is like, it shows the map of our higher dimensional brain. And there's an interesting if you want to say it's hard to describe without I would recommend you guys go to my Patreon with that diagram, because I could show you guys here. There's a diagram right there. So I mean on the brain right there. Let me get a better version of it. Yeah, I can't. There's not really a good version of it here. But if you were looking down on the brain, the higher dimensional brain, from like a bird's eye view, look into Rabbi Luzzatto. He was called the Ramchal, and he has an interesting version of what he maps out the higher dimensional brain looking down, and the way they call the Leviathan energy moves around the brain, and it sort of is like the Ouroboros, the circuit of energy, right? The circuit, the way time moves, the way it moves throughout the brain as well. So they're talking about sort of like the Ouroboros, like it's moving around the brain in a cyclical way, but it's actually two Leviathans, two tails of Leviathan going with its head in its mouth, like the Ouroboros. And that's the way it's going and splitting down the brain, because our brain is split down the middle, right? We have two spots here, two sections of the brain. Now this energy enters into our brain and goes around the brain like a snake, and then meets in the back where the Lutz bone is, and connects back there. And this is how they are talking about this skin of Leviathan, this otherworldly energy, this replicator of auric force that's entering into our who we are. It's entering into our aura, and it's coming into our physical brain, and it's wrapping around us and plugging into the back of us. Now, it's like putting on a headset, a skin, another almost like a virtual reality headset, but a spiritual one. And this is what's taking place. This is what's happening to our auras. I've seen it with people. People have all these things stuck within their aura, stuck within them, spinning, all sorts of things spinning above them, stuck within their auric form. And there is a global catastrophe that's taking place with this, and it probably sounds like crazy talk to most people out there if they're hearing me talk right now, but this is where the most secret of Kabbalah is going, is this direction, and talking about basically the skin of Leviathan, which they believe is sort of like a hidden force of codes, a hidden information that when it arises and it comes over us, or the Jewish, community, or the Kabbalists, or their kingdom, when it comes over them, it will bring them to a higher dimensional state, to a higher kingdom, right? Where there's no more time, there's no more death. It's just them in their kingdom, right? So Catholics sort of believe this too, right? They believe that, the Christians believe that 144,000 people will be saved, right? And will live immortally, eternally, immortally. Now, I do feel that the Moses of the Bible was tricked. That yes, we come from a divine spark. We come from a divine intelligence, a universal consciousness, a divine spark, right? But I do feel that this replicator technology came and infiltrated the consciousness of man, and it was seated in Moses long ago. It's seated in certain people long ago. They downloaded this energy, this replicator skin. Even when Moses came down from the mountain, from Mount Sinai, and Sinai is Mount Sin. Sin is like the moon. So when he came down from this mountain with this information, he was glowing, he was radiating. Some people say he even had horns. He was transformed. Now there's very good, very, very good evidence to even say that there's possibility that Moses even had horns on top of his head. Some parts of the Bible even say it was like a horn of a unicorn. Some say that his face was radiating. That they didn't know, they couldn't recognize him anymore. He had to cover his face. So, and we don't even know who Moses was. There's a possibility Moses was Akhenaten, or they were brothers, or they were one and the same. We don't even know, truthfully, who this Moses was, right? So people are dedicating their whole lives to these stories when they don't even know if they got the whole picture straight. They don't even know if they have the whole information correct, the translation correct. We have been totally brainwashed and manipulated, and we are, like I said, there's a headset coming over us. There's a skin coming over us, and we need to understand what we're interacting with here. And we need to understand that one day we're gonna truly have to make a decision. That one day is coming real soon. It's coming now, and this next full moon, September 16th, is going to be a big time for people. They have to start making their decision on who they are, and if they're going to get stuck in this trap anymore, because we're starting to elevate and accelerate. And so the Ark of the Covenant, see, the Zeralath is talking about the Ark of the Covenant. Now, this is something that I have a lot of stuff on that we could talk about. And also, people, if they want to support me and donate in the chat room, we could do live readings for a little bit. I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer. There's the cherubim that I want to talk about. The cherubim is about duality as well. You had the positive and negative duality system in this technology of the Ark. Some say the Ark. Some say the Ark is in Ethiopia. Angel Fire. If you look into Graham Hancock's work, he'll say that he met a priest down there years and years ago that was like blind because he was taking care of a certain technology, a certain Ark in the church. Now, I don't think it's the original Ark, no, but I do feel there were replications made. There were other Arks that were duplicated that technology. So I do feel there were other versions of the Ark, maybe not the original, and probably one of them was in Ethiopia or still is in Ethiopia, but I don't think they know how to access it or truly work it. And in fact, I think they just worship it, and they don't really know how to access the technology, how to turn it on in a way, how to turn the Torus key, if you want to say. Now, there is an advanced technology talked about in the Bible, and this is the Ark of the Covenant, and basically the technology is based on sort of like these two cherubim. They're male and female cherubs, right? And they sit on top of its lid, sort of like conductors in a way, right? And the way they talk to God was in the middle of these cherubim. And so this is something that's really important right here. Now, they're generating some sort of otherworldly connection between those two female and male golden cherubim, and this is very interesting. So the Ark of the Covenant also is connected to this foundation stone that I'm talking about. It was put right over it, right? And in the original temple. And now they have the Dome of the Rock over it, hijacking that signal. There's a literal spiritual war taking place between the Kabbalah and the Islam right at that spot, and when you put something on top of this foundation stone, of course, it'll probably amplify it as well. Now, if you go into the book of Exodus, it describes in a weird in detail too the unusual structure and the sort of like the construction of the first temple, King Solomon's holy temple, his sanctuary, and the divine codes and minds of the people that were instructed, and they were communicating with them and speaking with them through this ark, the cover of the ark, the lid of the ark, which between the two cherubim. So this is very interesting. So there's prophecy, there's some sort of movement, there's some sort of dimensional information, higher dimensional information being transmitted between those two cherubs inside the Holy of Holies. So this ark is not going to access unless you put it over this certain spot or within a certain dimensional cube or in some sort of dimensional temple. So a temple needs to be built to a certain dimension. Certain things have to be made in a certain way. So I do believe these representations of the male and the female. It's also, this is known throughout all mystery schools of teaching. This technology and the good and the bad. This positive and negative. This is how to create a force of energy, and there's some sort of spherical vortex being opened up within that arc, between the positive and negative cherubim, and there's a reason why they had to have been gold as well, because gold can stop things from moving from one dimension to the other as well. So if that is made out of pure gold, maybe they are catching something and locking it within the chest and releasing it out of who knows, So there's very interesting things when we talk about that, because that Ark of the Covenant is a technology that's going to come back in this end times, and I do feel it's related to quantum computing, and it's going to be put right in the Holy of Holies there, right over the foundation stone, and it will be downloading this living liquid that I'm talking about, that's coming up from the ground, or up from a vortex of energy, if you want to say, and being released and coming over us like a vapor, an aura of energy. So there are all sorts of explanations and all sorts of things to what this ark is, but these are something that's going to bring somebody to a higher dimensional state, right? It's going to bring somebody to a higher dimensional being, or some sort of higher dimensional uh, existence. And if you think that, why do they have angelics and angels on either side? Because those are celestial, higher dimensional creatures, non-corporeal creatures, right? This is what's uh, taking place. There's a set of duality on there as well, you know. So it also has to do with our Merkaba, our chariot, you know. And this is very interesting because this is a this is where, you know, Ezekiel talks about as well in the Bible, with his Merkava and accessing his Merkava, his chariot. Now, West, well, and they're talking the pineal gland. Well, I don't know if you guys have heard my other shows, but I was talking about how what they believe too is that this Lutz bone, you know, on the back of the, and this is the same place that where in Neo is in the Matrix, he's plugged into right there, right? This is uh, a very interesting thing when we talk about this, because this I forgot where I was going with that, but oh, the pineal. This spot, the Lutz bone, and your pineal gland is at a 45-degree angle from each other, right? So they describe in certain areas of Kabbalah that the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall, where they do all of their praying and rituals and spell working towards, that is at a 45-degree angle with the foundation stone in the Holy of Holies, right? So this is the same 45-degree angle that our pineal gland is to our Lutz bone, and these are the two places that are going to be involved with the resurrection of the dead and the cloning of who we are. And this is, I feel that every people are being their Lutz bone, and this information within our pineal gland and our Lutz bone are being uploaded into super duper computers, supercomputers. And I've talked about, you know, even Arthur C. Clarke having similar stories to things like the Kabbalah, you know, chanting all these different names of God to bring the end times, you know. Now, all sorts of people believe that ultimate is the singularity, right? Frank Tipler, I've been reading a book on Frank Tipler. He basically believes that we will be uploaded into machines and then live eternally that way, right? So this is the singularity, is that God is the ultimate singularity, you know. And if you look into the Tower of Babel, the Tower of Babel was, before it was destroyed, everybody on earth was of one faith. They were of one language. And when it blew up, when it was destroyed, everybody was scattered apart the earth. Everybody was speaking different language. They didn't know each other anymore, you know. So what took place here? You know, what are we talking about here? You know, this is a complete I forgot where we were going with that too. I gotta go because the baby's up now too. But let me see. Just read in the chat room. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're seeing it now. I mean, we've seen this technology before on our planet as well. Um, Even I was talking about like the Book of Jasher. You know, I don't know how much you want to take these things as truth, but there's a story of Nimrod receiving a special skin from Adam, and this skin made him like a Nephilim, made him able to kill giants. So in the book of Jasher, Esau kills Nimrod for this special skin. So what are we talking about here? Was he sort of like a machine? He was able to put something, a helmet on, or some sort of robotic-like exoskeleton to make him be able to take down giants, made him to be able to defeat giants, made him like a Nephilim? Because before the flood, Nimrod was just a regular dude. After the flood, he's like a Nephilim now. So there was some sort of transformation that took place. And we're going to continue this later. I got to go. Thank you for everybody joining me. We're going to do another stream later, hopefully. And Spiral out.